world of Ghost in the Shell was something that really caught my imagination and inspired me.
Rupert is really a visionary and has completely created an homage to the manga, to the anime fans, but has put his thumbprints all over this project.
Very good, thanks Scarlett. We took, to me, what were the most iconic pieces and built the rest of the universe narratively to fit it. The great thing about the film visually is that every scene you go to somewhere different. It's in a retro future in a way where everyone's enhanced, so you see the world differently.
It's not the future that we imagine to be kind of pristine and personality-less. City is built upon city.
We have 80s cars and 90s machine guns.
It's very much an indulgent idea of what the future could be.
Because of the power of what Shiro created originally, and I feel we're just another part of the legacy of Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell is based on the famous anime by the same title. Rupert Sanders is really a visionary director. He's got a very strong eye.
The anime, to me, has a certain feeling to it. To see that world imagined is pretty spectacular.
Rupert has completely created an homage to the manga, to the anime, for the fans. It's really been all-encompassing, empowering, and badass to bringing this anime to life.
I was so in love with the anime color, which felt very subtle and original, so I programmed my lights to be able to replicate those colors.
There are many challenges when you move from an anime film into live action. That's something that Rupert and his design team spent hours and weeks and months designing.
I hope the audience shares the same passion that I have for this. I hope they willingly go on this ride with me.
Oshi, who made the anime, came to visit us in production to see how Scarlett became the Major. It's pretty spectacular.
Scarlett Johansson. いや、想像した通り。そのゴーストを入れた部分が多分スカーレットの良さなんだね、多分ね。
This film is really about the journey of self-discovery for Major.
Scarlett, she's really inhabited the role.
Говорит майор. Захожу.
ちょっと変わってますよ。かなり僕は面白かった。
It's a ride, for sure.
多分スカーレット見るだけの値打ちもあると思う。
The purpose of concept art is to get the directors and production designers and everyone's kind of creative vision in a piece of art that we can then use to create the vision in the world.
Rupert Sanders has an exact idea of what he wants in this universe.
It's in a kind of retro future in a way, a world of many creeds and races, where everyone's enhanced, a world where your eyes are enhanced so you see the world differently.
They went to Hong Kong as well and they took a lot of street photos. That's a big part of the concept here was the background street characters, and they're quite special to Rupert.
Rupert is really a visionary and he has completely created a very unique and captivating idea of what the future could be.
Oftentimes we will use previs instead of storyboards.
Previs is kind of like the video game version of the movie. It's a way that with a very small crew, the producers and the director can get a sense of what the shots are going to look like well ahead of time.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they can bring that to reality.
It's kind of its own world that people haven't seen before.
Дыши. Скажи, ты помнишь что-нибудь про нападение?
Что произошло?
Был несчастный случай.
Почему я не чувствую свое тело?
Мы не смогли спасти твое тело. Мы сделали новое тело. Введите успокоительное.
Who is the Major is a good question. And this film is really about the journey of self-discovery for the character.
Все, кого я знаю, чувствуют связь друг с другом.
Scarlett did bring so much to it. She's really inhabited the role, the hidden anger, hidden humanity. She really became the Major.
Scarlett's character has an ability to adapt herself with any situation.
Мы спасли тебя, чтобы ты спасала других. Майор на связи. Захожу.
This experience has been like nothing else I've ever had before. It's a ride, for sure.
Говорит майор. Я захожу. Мы спасли тебя, чтобы ты спасала других.
Ты не бессмертная.
В следующий раз усовершенствуйте меня.
Hello, I am Richard Johnson, the lead art director here on Ghost in the Shell. We are in Major's apartment. This piece here is one of Major's charging stations. After a hard day of fighting evil, she has to come back and recharge. Over here is her lounge. It is one of two areas of comfort. Back in this side of the room is technology of tomorrow. There's a scientific component to Major the character. Once in a while, she has to do her own analysis of crime scenes. Behind me are weapons kits. Behind all of this is more weaponry, some tactical gear, storage for body parts that she'll break, and then she repairs herself. Over here is where Major sleeps. Now, robots don't need a lot of sleep, but this is sort of a relaxation cocoon. Hong Kong is out that door.
We're shooting the shelling sequence that is very iconic from the anime and from the manga, where the Major's character comes to life.
Everything you see of the skeleton in the shelling sequence is the real skeleton. So we did as much practically as we could.
This is the Major's skeleton. This is actually Scarlett's height, so that was one of the first things we did was find out how tall Scarlett was and then scale the model to her. So because we had such fantastic designs up front, we were able to go through and basically break this down into all its different components. And I think there ended up being about 1,400 individual pieces, and they all need to mesh together and fit together perfectly. We've essentially created an internal skeleton and then basically put a muscle layer around the outside of that.
You should just do like a slow track.
We had another body as well that we brought out of a white liquid, and that was really the skin layer that went over top. So it's all about adding these layers and watching the layers build up through the process. The actual shelling sequence is one of the ultimate moments in Ghost in the Shell, so getting the opportunity to actually be a part of this has been massive.
It was exciting for me to make a version of that that echoed the original and felt like it was actually happening.
Время прибытия отряда.
2 минуты, майор.
Захожу.
Section 9 is a group of operatives that fight cyber terrorism.
They're all chosen for their specific skill sets.
Aramaki, the commander of Section 9, Takeshi gives that character the weight that it needs.
He's kind of the patriarch of this highly trained squad. Batu, he's ex-military, he's cyber-enhanced, but not to the degree of the Major. He's got a real understanding of her.
Major is the one who he can connect with.
Мне нужно проникнуть в ее память.
Ты рискуешь открыть свой разум, ты будешь уязвима.
Почему у тебя руки дрожат?
When Major is with Batu, it's the most kind of human she feels. He reminds her of the life that could be possible.
Ты как?
He's full of heart, he's full of warmth, but yet again, he's the most hardcore killer in Section 9.
She's got this wonderful and dysfunctional inherited family.
These guys are just awesome.
I hope the audience shares the same passion that I have for this unruly bunch.
Hi, I'm Kurt.
And I'm Bart, and we're the costume designers on The Ghost in the Shell. I think the overall style started with Rupert, who's super visual.
I think for actors, it's such a big part of what they're doing. You know, they always say when they step into the wardrobe, it finally kind of, they become a character.
From the very beginning, we wanted to do something that was both honoring the original source material, but also super distinctive and memorable.
One of our key costumes was the geishas. We wanted them to feel traditional, but we also wanted to kind of use untraditional materials.
One of the really traditional elements of a kimono and what geishas wear is their obi, their belt. We wanted to take the traditional obi methodology, but incorporate our own motif on it, which was like this circuitry and kind of following the same kind of panels that are in the face.
There was a lot of design talking about whether this would be like a silicone mask or whether it was going to be a hard mask, and we ended up doing a hard mask and hard hair, which I think was really, really beautiful in the end.
Every time you shoot with the geisha, they're entombed in hard-shelled masks which have fans in the hair pieces and vents at the back. It's a really terrifying character.
Our needs from New Zealand are really different than a lot of the things people associate with New Zealand, a country landscape or mountains. For Ghost in the Shell, we needed an urban environment. We needed a futuristic setting. As we started weighing all those factors, really Wellington became the place to do it.
Alright, shooting now.
Lock it up, guys. Here I am in Wellington. I feel like I'm in Hong Kong.
And let's turn over.
For the futuristic kind of Hong Kong looking city we wanted to make, we were really able to take the existing architecture and geometry of the city we're in and then really build from it. The best way to make a heavy VFX movie look real is to mix and match real with all sorts of different other VFX techniques. So there's gonna be a lot of real in these shots. And the most challenging scene was a pretty big action sequence shootout on a street.
If you're here, the muzzle flashes this side of the frame.
What you need is real estate. You gotta lock down a lot of city blocks so you have the room to create the scope and to have like the cargo fast enough. Any big city, it's always a challenge because there's people living there, living their lives, and it impacts people. With Victoria Street, Wellington, we got this giant lockdown that allowed us to make a really big action scene that we never would have tried to even achieve in Hong Kong. We're really trying to do something ambitious, and we would have never been able to do it without the cooperation of the city and the businesses and the people here in Wellington help us get there. There were a number of factors that went into the choice of New Zealand, and particularly Wellington, to the making of Ghost in the Shell. First of all, the presence of Weta Workshop. They have brought an incredible world together for us.
It's been a very collaborative process with the art department, the props department, costuming, makeup, where everyone has done our bits to bring everything together.
Weta Workshop, who have created the shelling sequence for us where the Major's character comes to life.
Vitaly Bulgarov designed a full skeleton. Weta then laser cut every piece of it.
There ended up being about 1,400 individual pieces, and they all need to mesh together and fit together perfectly.
So everything you see of the skeleton in the shelling sequence is the real skeleton. We did a full body cast of Scarlet. It's exciting for me to make a version that echoed the original and felt like it was actually happening.
Мы спасли тебя, чтобы ты спасала других.
A suit is the thickening of the existing understructure.
When we see the Major go thermoptic, what is she wearing? What does she come back to? That's something that Rupert and Weta spent months designing.
The look of going invisible is a tricky thing to try and imagine. We always knew that the visual effects department would have their work cut out for them, but at least we could give them a head start with a suit that looked almost otherworldly all by itself.
We were 5 minutes down the road from Weta Workshop. The fact that we could keep examining things and working to make them so unique, that was a giant boon to the production.
From the cybernetic enhancements to the robotics to the set decoration, Weta Workshop, that's an asset that's unique in the world. There were a number of factors that went into the choice of New Zealand, and particularly Wellington, to the making of Ghost in the Shell. First of all, the phenomenal crew here. I can't emphasize that enough. They're really a very versatile, talented, gung-ho, spirited group of filmmakers.
In a movie this size, where everybody has to be in constant communication, working together, planning sequences, the look of the movie, costume, production design, prosthetics, visual effects, it was all here in New Zealand. We've been shooting here in Wellington. We've been on stage at Stone Street Studios, where Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh made many of their movies. Today's the first time that we're outside in Wellington. What we've loved is being able to create a very urban setting with our CG enhancements, set dressing that actually looks like our futuristic Asian city.
We're very excited to be working with Weta Workshop, the animatronics, prosthetics, makeup, prop, set decorating facility that is. We're very lucky to be right down the road from them. It's really been one of the great assets of this movie. That was the nice thing about coming down here, is the movie has a handcrafted feel, and we needed a lot of really seasoned craftsmen to pull it off, and we found them here.
The studios, the stages, and the environments. The city is very supportive of this industry, and we are delighted to work here.
It wouldn't be Ghost in the Shell without crazy fight sequences, gunplay. It's really been something else.
The fighting on this and the action is a balancing act between keeping the sensibilities of what she can do without making it too superhero-ish.
The Major is this extraordinary fighter. How do you see something? How do you portray something in the anime when the Major, when we see her go thermoptic?
When she puts on that suit, she can at will become invisible.
The thermoptic, again, very iconic to the film. So we shot the sequence and we just basically erased Major from it and just used kind of disturbance in place, because you want to get a feeling that she's there, but you don't want her to be completely invisible.
To try a lot of really new ideas and new techniques that we've been playing with, and I think that's really come together to make it very uniquely different in the action.
Hi, I'm Jeff Silver. I'm the executive producer of Ghost in the Shell, and we're here at the Callahan Innovations demonstration for drone technology in Wellington.
This is our cinema drone. So this is a drone that we've built from scratch.
I've been very impressed in my experience here in New Zealand. It's a world-class filmmaking community, and I think it's particularly noted for its innovation. Well, we brought our team here today, Patrick Loungeway, the director of photography of the second unit, and our sound recordist, Tony Johnson, to observe and learn from this. And I think they got very excited about new technologies and the ways that it could be applied to filmmaking. The level of innovation and invention is really exceptional. The idea of drones that fly in windy weather, drones that are quieter, drones that have signal processing for better audio recording, drones that have homing, very interesting innovations for film applications.
It sort of blew my mind a little bit. So much of what we do, especially in second unit, is action, is camera movement. So much of the hard part of that is putting the camera with an actor. This is technology now where someone can wear a tracker and be riding a horse on the beach and the camera can orbit them or swoop in and come into a close-up. It is sort of an unlimited range of opportunity.
Some of the interesting innovations that we saw here today was drone tracking, the idea that a drone can follow its GPS pattern. Being able to automate any aspect of motion pictures allows repeatability and economy and creativity. Tony's from New Zealand and Patrick is from Los Angeles. These guys work around the world, so I think they'll take this information that they learned here today and take it with them in their experiences wherever they go.